Welcome, Spartans, to Halo TV Plus, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. I'm your host, Oran, and on Halo TV Plus, my guests and I recap Halo's original television show, Halo the Series, and we discuss its contents and unique canon within the Silver Timeline. Joining me tonight for Episode 6 of Season 2, Onyx, is Aaron. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Hi guys, I'm back again for this season.
Yes, he is. You joined us, I think, in one of our preseason episodes. Now you're back for Onyx.
To see how wrong my wild theories are.
I mean, you were spot on with a theory that came to light and was confirmed in this episode regarding, kind of who would take over kind of Kurt from core canon. So it's pretty crazy. I'm not sure what some of your other wild theories were, but yeah, it's pretty interesting now that we're in the latter half, kind of seeing how the pieces are falling into place.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm spitting out theories all over the place. I don't remember all my theories. We'll just have to get someone to email in at the end of this and go no, you said this, Aaron, you're an idiot.
If I had the time to kind of re-listen to everything and catalog it all, I definitely would. But these weekly episode schedules are already
super tight.
Yeah, super tight. Yeah, but no, we're making it work. We're putting things together, and we got a good episode to talk about. There's a lot of things that this episode does, a lot of characters that they touch on here and there, and it kind of ramps up for the last two episodes. That it should be a pretty exciting 2-episode finale, so to speak. But let's do some housekeeping before we dive right in. If you're a returning listener, then you already know this, but if you're just joining us for Halo TV Plus, welcome. We publish 2 episodes to accompany each Halo the Series episode as they premiere each week. This is a commentary episode where in a moment, Aaron and I will watch Onyx and discuss its events as they unfold on screen. We encourage you to watch along with us. If you haven't watched the episode yet, we recommend that you watch it before listening to and watching along with us, as we often spoil scenes while they happen and before they happen. Tomorrow or later in the week, we will release an analysis episode that will dive into more details from the episode, as well as some characterizations and predictions for the next episodes of the season. If you're new to Podcast Evolved produces a bunch of other Halo podcasts like Halo TV Plus, such as Podcast Evolved, HCS Pro Talk, Mission Debrief, Builds a Blocks, and Halo Book Club. You can learn more about each of our shows on our website, evolvedhalo.co or halopodcast.com. Evolved hosts another show called I Would Have Been Your Podcast, which is a Patreon-exclusive podcast for our subscribed patrons. If you're interested about becoming a patron and learning more about what rewards our patrons receive, you could head over to patreon.com Halo Evolved, and you can see that we offer exclusive rewards such as early episodes, access to our 18-song soundtrack, unique swag, access to a private Discord channel, and more. Shout out to our current subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You guys keep the lights on, and it keeps us going, as well as your commentary and discussions in our Discord. Thank you guys for reaching out and being a part of our community. Now, Aaron, I assume you watched last week's episode 5, Valeria?
I have. I am currently all caught up.
Great. Do you want to give us a quick little recap of what happened last week?
Okay, we can go through the Aaron's vague update here. So, the last episode we saw, we had John, Riz, Quan, Halsey, Liara, and Soren. They all go off to Ilaria. That is our... what would be the word? What am I thinking of?
Remote mining planet?
Remote, what did you call it in the States years ago? The gold rush. You were way off to the
mines.
That sort of thing. The mines, you were getting your plots of land.
Silos.
You were staking your claim.
The frontier.
The frontier, that's what I was trying to think of. This is their frontier in space where you're claiming your plot of land and decontaminating the planet. So they land here. It's all tin shacks and stuff like that. Soren and Liara go off looking for Kessler. They follow some leads and end up finding another child instead that he gave his helmet to be brave, who seems to have been adopted by scary space lesbians.
Just
Like-
very reserved and defiant space lesbians.
They were absolutely
they were trying to
ready
protect
to
their
put a
land.
couple- Yeah, they were going to put a couple of rounds in them immediately.
I think they were probably taken advantage of throughout their time in space, and they just want their own life and their own land and their
Yeah.
own children
Although-
or child.
Their house in the cooling tower was not well thought out. I do not think that was a safe place to live inside, personally.
It looked
It
pretty
looked a bit
rustic and
sketchy.
abandoned, so I feel like it just, I don't know. It did look a bit odd.
A little bit like, oh, this might fall on me.
Maybe they're hiding. But then again, Soren and them found them, so they didn't hide very well.
Yeah. We have Halsey. She's doing like backyard surgery on Riz, and then she tells Riz that basically you're broken. You're going to have to work harder to keep being a Spartan. Like the sort of gist of it is there's no recovering 100% from this. And then Riz eventually like decides to settle down. Oh wait, was that bit in this episode, or is that the very start of the next one? No,
It
that
was,
is the very,
yeah,
the very end of this, isn't it?
She kind of just looks, yeah, at the very end, she kind of looks out to the community and they're like setting up a house, kind of like the framework. And she's just like, and Chief's like, we're gearing up to go. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to stay. Like, my body's basically broken.
Yeah,
like, it kind of gave me, like, you know, in like the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, when Theoden gets like attacked by the Nazgul and like Eowyn comes up and is like, I can save you, and then he's like, my body's broken, like I'm gonna stay here and die.
Yeah, it
on
kind
my
of
own.
cuts into
Like, that's kind of the vibe I got.
it shuffles into that bit in Red Dead 2 where you have the house building music and it goes in like the fast forward montage. I imagine that's the rest of Riz's life now, just we're gonna build a house. So
Yeah, she's gonna build a house, she's gonna stay there, and I mean, if we ever see her again, great, but like I kind of see this being her way to do what Lewis kind of did, to just kind of fade into the background and just do, you know, live a life instead of being a Spartan.
yeah, seems to be. So that's what she's at. Quan wants to bury Vanek. Chief is basically like, no, he's already gone. It's just a corpse, blah, 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 blah. Then she goes to bury him. Then the locals are like, no, we must burn the motherfucker. So then they build a funeral pyre. And we get a Star Wars like funeral death where everyone stands around with torches. And then Quan has a trippy vision where she sees the Elder from episode 1. That's basically like,
Yeah.
it's like, you didn't protect your planet, I'm a protector, you must like follow the dream quest sort of a sequence.
Yeah, and it kind of, that elder kind of portrayed herself as being like the voice of the planets, like all of the planets in the galaxy, I guess, and saying that you abandoned and you didn't protect magical, and you know your purpose has yet to be fully, you know, enacted, so you need to continue, you know, you need to do your job, basically.
I assume this is this Halo universe's version of like Gaseous and like Forerunner-y shit.
Yes.
All of these people are just the chosen ones.
Yes, that's what Krista and I were talking about last week, is that this could be the Silver Timeline's equivalent to something like that. So we're anxiously waiting to kind of see what more we can learn from Quan's sort of visions and inner dialogue.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And then the last sort of storyline we get out of this is McKee meets Cortana. So she starts like chatting to her a little bit. We also get the Arbiter returning to High Charity because he's failed his mission, and then McKee talks him out of it. It's like, no, we'll both be killed because we're basically heretics and we're fucked. And you can tell that McKee's not in a good place. She's been sent out on this mission with the Arbiter, and the Hierarchs are not happy with her. And that other priest guy on the ship is like frothing at the bit to get her.
Well, that other priest character is in this episode.
Oh, is that this episode? That's right. We don't get that far.
Yeah,
I think the end of the story is like...
Well, basically, to convince him as well, Cortana projects the ring from like John's heads-up display back from like season 1, kind of a thing. And then once the Arbiter kind of sees that and sees like that the Halo and all of its majesty is here, is achievable, is out there, he then kind of believes McKee and defies the hierarchs by basically turning the ship around. And then we get more of that conflict in this episode that is kind of a nice little thing.
So that's basically everything that happened in that episode. It wasn't a terrible episode, but I consider it a bit of a slow mid-season.
No, it was... It kind of did some necessary things that we had to do. It was... a little long, in my opinion, for what actually happened. But yeah, all in all, it wasn't a terrible episode, but it's kind of just a lukewarm, in my opinion, for that episode. So, and I kind of feel the same way about this one, to be honest. The Onyx that we're about to get into,
I have a slightly more positive opinion of this episode than the last one, but I'm not blown away by it.
Yeah, it's when I look at it's like some of the other episodes in this season where individually the scenes are great on their own, and the character tensions that we have and the sort of events that we have are pretty cool. But just like when you look at the episode as a whole, it just kind of falls flat a little bit. And I think you and I were talking about this before the show, and I feel like part of it is maybe because it's all broken up week to week. Whereas if you watch them kind of back to back a little bit more, it might flow a little bit more nicely. Because like a lot of the cliffhangers, these episodes for this season they tease you a lot. So I think, I don't know, maybe that's just the format, but it I don't know. I just want more answers, I guess, and I kind of wish I just maybe got everything all at once. But I don't know. But we'll talk about it. We're gonna dive in and we'll break it apart and see what we think. Aaron, do you have the episode queued up?
I am ready to roll.
Okay. So this episode for this week, of course, is Onyx. The synopsis is John seeks revenge on a secret Oni planet, or ONI, as they say in the show. Perez trains to become a new kind of soldier. Kai finds herself torn between her Spartan code and her loyalty to the Master Chief. McKee turns to Cortana for help in search for the Halo. It is directed by Otto Bathurst, and it has a runtime of 53 minutes and 59 seconds, so it's a little bit more in line to an average episode length for the show, and it originally aired on March 7th, 2024. So with all that, Aaron and I don't have commercials, so if you're a listener with commercials, you'll have to pause the podcast during your commercial breaks to remain mostly in sync, and we will get rocking and rolling.
As a technical in sync question, which the listeners might have as well, are we skipping the previously on?
No.
That's good.
No, we're going to keep on there, and I'll give you... You can talk a little bit more about the last episode during that point as well, if there's anything else you wanted to say.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Ready to roll?
All right. I'm going to count us down. Press play when I say play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh, the pressure.
And we're off. So, yeah, the recap talks a little bit about the ending of Reach episode, and then kind of all of Valeria, of them kind of recovering. So, yeah, you started to say that you found this episode of Valeria to be kind of a little lukewarm, kind of run-of-the-mill, mid-season episode. Do you think that helped being a slightly lower action-y episode to be kind of between Reach and Onyx?
I don't know. I kind of want.
Or do you kind of feel like it's kind of a consistent sort of thing? Because I feel like you need these kind of lower meadowy moments between the high stakes actiony scenes. So like I kind of did appreciate that for Ilaria. So then kind of expecting more action in Onyx, and I think we got that. So I think it kept the pacing pretty well.
It's the Game of Thrones thing. It's the like, how many episodes do we have on the road? I just feel like sometimes we get a little too many of that. Like, I know it's not, and there's only so much budget to go around, but like you said, this episode went on a little bit too long. I think we could have chiseled a little bit more out of it.
I think we could have chiseled some, and I feel like we could have. Well, I mean, the whole episode was on Ilaria, so I'm not sure how we can cross-cut, but one of the critiques I'll say right off the bat as we're about to start this episode is that I feel like some of this episode, Onyx, could have been intercut with the Ilaria episode. And I think it's kind of primarily this sort of these moments with Perez and Kai, and we get this training simulation that we don't know it's a training simulation yet, but I feel like this storyline was great, and I think it could have been paired with the last episode a little bit better to just kind of give the last episode a little more zhuzh. But I don't know what you would necessarily cut, because the last episode does do a whole lot with Soren and Liara and the idea of Riz and all those types of things. So, but in any event, we start off with a pretty high intensity action sequence where we have the first reveal of our Spartan 3s in action.
Yeah,
and they are doing the kind of classic Spartan, not extraction, but like deployment through the space to hit a Covenant corvette and
it has
try to
It
infiltrate.
has flashbacks of the first like mission we get in the books where they lose Sam. Like it's that same boarding mission style thing.
Yep.
Which I quite like. How do you feel about our Spartan 3?
So as a whole, like they've changed Spartan 3s from core canon. So like these, since Perez is already a Spartan 3, I mean she's been gone for like a week from Reach, and she's in the armor, and they haven't mentioned whether any type of augmentation has happened, and I don't really get the sense that any type of augmentation has happened, but this basically looks like a different division within the UNSC. Like you are a Marine, you are some type of soldier, and you can opt into this program.
I feel
so that's a difference from core canon, and I'm not really sure how I like that. But in terms of like the armor and the look and the fighting, like the infiltration of it, the fact that they're going on like suicide missions, that's all kind of relatable to the core canon.
I feel like they might be augmented, but I feel like they've sort of meshed the 3s and the 4s together here, because it's not kids, it's adult volunteers. And they're talking about, you'll hear later in the episode where she talks about how that we'll have millions of them. I feel like this is the way we have Infinite's armor at the start of this season. I feel like we've taken 2 generations of Spartans and mushed them together.
Yeah, and I could see that working for the show, because, the show only has so much time to develop things, and the Halo canon stretches, if you really look at it all, it stretches millennia, but like the core story is like over the course of a couple of decades, or like half a century or so. So it's, I can see how they can kind of lengthen that by just saying, hey, the new Spartan 3 program is basically Spartan 4s, but in the sort of deployment of the core canon Spartan 3s. So I kind of am okay with that.
I do like the virtual reality training. Like, this is how we train the Spartans, and we don't like have them die immediately. I like this sort of setup.
Yeah, it does shed some light and kind of help us understand what's going on, and it'll be interesting to see if this mission actually happens like for real, like maybe in one of the last 2 episodes, that we kind of see how that happens, because we run this mission I think 3 times, and Perez kind of does something different each time, and so it'll be interesting to see how different it actually goes in the if they really apply it. So, but you get a side of Kai that we haven't seen before, I would say, to where she is the leader of this training. She is instructing, and you can definitely see that she's holding some of that weight of thinking that the rest of her silver team are dead from Reach, and so she's, I don't know, she's holding herself a little bit more.
She's gone full hard ass.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, that's like a front. Like, you can tell that she is pushing that hard ass outward to kind of hide some of her insecurities and some of her guilt, I think, that she holds on the inside.
Yeah,
So
I do think she's one of the like good actors in this show. Like, I'm not saying anyone's bad, but I think she's particularly good.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that she kind of got this sort of, she got the Kurt treatment, because I felt that even with last season and this season, her character and things kind of shines a little bit more than maybe Riz and Vanek, even though both of them got some great scenes in this season compared to last. So it's I like Kate Kennedy. She's good.
I am upset with the Parangosky scene here that there is not a ginger nut biscuit to be seen.
No ginger nut biscuit?
No.
Is that an Indian biscuit, or is that a Irish biscuit?
Just a UK biscuit, I think. Because, well, Karen Travis is British.
Because she's talking about tea leaves from the
she's talking about the tea, and I was waiting. I was waiting for her to dunk a ginger nut into it, and she did not. I was like, damn it, you had one job to do. Put a ginger nut biscuit on that plate.
I was also a little disappointed that this would have been a great opportunity for their marketing to basically do the stance of the Halo 2 cover, where Master Chief is dual wielding the two SMGs, and like having, like, whatever sort of slogans above. But you can tell that they're definitely capitalizing on the fall of Reach as a motivational and propaganda stance to kind of help bring the Spartan 3s up and rally them and give them hope and all this kind of stuff. And so it's I thought that was a cool little detail.
Yeah, I did like all the little poster artworks were nice. I was like, oh, these are cool. They've churned these out quick.
Yeah.
They've also tied an awful lot on Chief being dead.
Yep. But I really like this scene because it just kind of confirms that behind Ackerson is actually Parangosky, which is really cool. And I think it is really true to core canon of just kind of how manipulative she and then even Osmond gets when Osmond eventually becomes the director of Oni. And so it's nice to see Parangosky kind of back in that seat, because it was a little confusing earlier in the season, but but it's nice to kind of have that come around and be like how she was kind of being undercover in a way. But we have them here just kind of just talking about how Parangosky is basically like, you better hope that what you did is what you did, because if you failed, then that's going to be on you. And he's like, there's no way that he's back. And then he's back.
Yeah, like, I have to say, security on this top secret planet's lacking as fuck.
Yes, like, you think they would have some sort of, I mean, if they were able to project like Covenant or other sort of spaceships flying in orbit, like, you think they would have some type of orbital defense, especially given how secret this planet is.
Well, no, they did have orbital defense, because they do say, oh, the ship entered our atmosphere like someone knew our defenses. So, like, they cover that bit,
is
but
true.
I'm like, even on the ground, how was there not, like, anything slightly more advanced than send the paintball team in?
Yeah, and even if Halsey's been here before and, like, is able to bypass their defenses, like, they're not in, like, a UNSC ship. They're in some, like, scavenger ship from the rubble. So, like, I guess they have the capabilities to bypass whatever sort of UNSC level security defenses.
Yeah, he bought something on the black market. Ooh, Halo.
You cut back in.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is and I and even Ackerson kind of says it in a moment where it's kind of morbid that she's basically reliving the fight that killed Vanek. And it's interesting that they even have this simulation, but
That's what I was wondering.
But I believe it. And I think it just goes to show just how much guilt she has for surviving and not being there. I mean, she even says it. Why weren't we here?
Yeah, I just wonder if they have this simulation and they have the final battle, why did they not have the data? And why are her teammates not dead around her? How does Kai have this bit, and did they filter out the rest? How did they get this as the planet fail?
Something else that I noticed, like in all of these simulation things, is that you don't see any Covenant. Like you don't see where these bullets and plasma things are coming from. And so I don't know if that's like a budgetary thing on the show, or if that's supposed to be like that whatever sort of training simulation that they have is not able to fully render like Covenant forces basically being like AI and fighting against you like in like in Halo Infinite. I think if you're playing like King of the Hill or something, Firefight.
I think it's just a budget thing.
So it's it's a little odd, but I don't know. I kind of like that her teammates aren't there. Like Vanek's not just lying there. I think it would give a different sort of sense to her fighting it, because I think it is more so of her trying to prove herself that like she could do it. If only they had her. Plus, I don't think she doesn't truly know that Vanek is dead or Riz is like, she doesn't know how it happens. She's just assuming all three of them are dead because Reach fell.
If you were going to do this interestingly, and I think might have been just as useful, I think having this scene, or that simulation scene, that the rest of Silver Team were there in their armor, and she thought that's how they died without her. Like, a faked version of the battle might have been interesting for 20 seconds.
True. That's true.
Just to show how they lied.
But also, it's also why that hallway. I wonder if they know that hallway is where Vanek died. Again, it could just be them reusing the set for like a production standpoint. But I don't know. I don't want to think too much into it and kind of psych myself out. But I do hear what you're saying. That could be just as horrifying and kind of a way to help the propaganda machine pump out things. So, but I want to talk about this because Quan, so it seems that Quan is basically just with our team just for this moment, so then she can get pulled away, and she eventually finds a well, falls in it, and then Halsey's just also there. So we're gonna get to that, but like I just feel like we could have just done something better with Quan. Like just
hasn't that been like the story of Quan the whole way along?
It's just like, okay. Yeah, so our she's just tagging along just for her to branch off. So, but also like they land here, like I don't know. I feel like they almost, I don't know, could have came here sooner. I don't know.
Yeah, but I suppose like you said, how do they squeeze that in?
They literally arrive, like land here, and then like Soren, apparently knows exactly where Kessler is, so him and Liara run off.
This is
Halsey disappears. Quan runs away and then finds her way down the well, and then John just starts being Captain America and attacking everybody. Yeah. So like it's like immediate.
Well, that's why I assume they're all familiar with all of this. Like he knows where his son is because they've all trained here before. Blah blah blah. Chief doing his like Wolverine thing through the forest is kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like his little thing.
The trees.
But it's just, I guess I wish there was maybe a little bit more explanation and like a plan of attack of sorts. from their point of
Well,
view.
this was his plan all along to get captured.
Because the way we left them last episode was just that Halsey says, "I know where they took him," meaning Kessler, and then they just went there. Like, it wasn't so much of a like, oh, I have a feeling of where where Parangosky and where like Ackerson is and all this kind of stuff. We don't get that sort of angle, and I kind of wish that we did. I don't know. Just so much happens in this scene, and it just happens for the sake of disbanding our heroes, so then they can now all be on their own again, and it's just, I don't know. I just think it's kind of poorly done. And Halsey's here. Like, why is she here?
Because Halsey's mysterious. And Halsey knew the back door, and so she didn't have to fall down the well.
Yeah. But it's like, if Kwan's supposed to have this big character journey, but then now she's just attaching herself to all these other characters. And and Kwan's asking all the questions that like the audience is asking, and Halsey's just being like, "Oh, it still works, cool." These lights that actually kind of suck, like when they're walking through the thing, like you can't see anything. It just lights their face so you can see them on camera.
You don't want to see too much of the cave. You'll see where the paper mache ends. You can't.
I don't know, because, this cave looks similar to the magical cave from season 1, but Halsey's been here, like, I think she says something about 20 years ago.
Because they're all magical Forerunner caves.
All right, something a little bit more interesting. We cut to the Arbiter. Are we synced up, or am I ahead of you?
No, we're just a second out, I think, but near enough. I'm at the Arbiter too. His little, like, self-harm.
Yeah, well, I think it's supposed to be maybe the mark of shame that he brands himself with. Well, that's kind of the impression I got.
Well, I assume he keeps rebranding himself, because, like, he should be branded already as the Arbiter. So maybe he's just keeping it fresh.
Yeah. Keeping it fresh.
Can't let the mark of shame scab over.
No.
I don't like this priest.
Yeah, I don't know what this priest deals is either, but I kind of like it. So to talk about McKee, this episode and last episode, I really enjoyed all of McKee's moments. I just wish that these scenes happened like in the first and second episode of the season, because I think it would have given us more perspective of what her struggle is, and I feel like it would have been a more rewarding if like she's doubted and all this kind of stuff, but then after this moment where the Arbiter stands up for her and all that, to then go to episode 2, where they go to Sword Base and they actually steal one of the artifacts. Like, and then now we know like what McKee is like battling and struggling with and all that she doesn't have the same sort of Blessed One or Reclaimer sort of connection anymore. Like, I feel like all of that we're getting here, but it's just getting to us just too late in the season. And it's like, oh, now we have to find the Halo. And it's like, well, you've been doing that the whole season. Like, I don't know. I feel like this just left me wanting this to be a little bit more reordered, I guess.
Yeah. But I do like getting an actual Covenant character that's not 2 seconds of hierarch. It's nice to have a little bit of CGI put in the alien budget.
But again, we're getting that 5 and 6 episodes into the season. Like,
yeah,
it would have been nice to be introduced to the Arbiter in the first episode, so we knew what was going on.
It would have been nice to have been introduced to the Arbiter in the first season. Never mind.
Yeah, I kind of give that.
We got one glimpse of Atriox in the first season. Like, did that have to be Atriox? Couldn't that have been the Arbiter's big moment?
True.
Also, Did they get these helmets from the set of Pacific Rim? Because I feel like these are the same helmets that they were there.
Just the oh yeah, I don't remember that closely. I will say for the Atriox versus thing, like I kind of got the sense that the Arbiter didn't become the Arbiter until between season 1 and season 2. So it would have been interesting if like maybe an Elite had an upper hand on the Chief at the end of season 1, and then that Elite was the one that turned into the Arbiter because that Elite didn't kill the Chief or something like that, and that's maybe he got blamed for the Chief stealing the 2 artifacts at the end of the first season. I could see that being a little bit more of a way to introduce him earlier. But I don't know if we really would have noticed that because all the CGI of the Elites kind of just all look the same, and the armor is barely different. Like I think they could have done a better job of giving him different armor.
I also wonder why use the Arbiter for this when they could have just used a Brute. Like we could have gone with a slightly closer Halo one and saved the Arbiter for later. Well, I'm thinking of Tartarus. Like, could we not have had a Brute stand-in for Tartarus? Or did it have to be a shamed guy to go with McKee? Is that the whole thing?
Well, I get the sense that they picked Arbiter because the Arbiter is like a unique Sangheili character, an elite character,
Yeah.
and there's a way for them to like want to regain their honor after a massive failure.
But he's not Arby, so I wonder why you blow that character when you use Atriox by name, even though it's just in like the subtitles. Why then go and do random Arbiter? So just, I don't know, it's a strange choice.
I don't know.
But anyway,
I kind of like it. I like the story they're trying to tell, but it could be better told, if that makes sense.
Also, yes, we've succeeded in the training mission, except the end was suspiciously easy.
Yes, so this is, I like this moment because it's I think it is, and Ackerson even kind of confirms this, and maybe we talk about it then, really, that like the Spartan 3s are still kind of bred to be on suicide missions, to where like your point is to capture the objective, do it, and if everyone dies, as long as we fulfilled our objective, like it's considered a win in the UNSC. And I think that was foreshadowing for that, and I think Ackerson kind of confirms it by beating around the bush.
Also, I'm going to be the one to point this out because I wonder, did you have this thought? Why, for the love of God, are Chief's wrists not shackled to his waist? Why are they attached to the guards by ropes? I can see how this is going to go wrong immediately because he's so much stronger. We watched Kai lift a warthog in the first season. These Spartans are absurdly strong without armor, never mind in armor. You do not attach yourself to Chief's wrist like a dog and have him like yank you back. You shackle his wrists to his sides and then you hold him in the series of dog leashes.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like there was one movie with the X-Men where like Wolverine had his hands bound, like pointing through his chest, and like that was and like the way he got out was that he like basically stabbed himself, and he was able to like cut the thing or whatever. But like, yeah, it's something similar to that, where it's like you gotta basically put him in a straight.
But I do appreciate. I like the slight gore of the broken wrist, the broken hand. That's like he's not afraid to fuck these people up. That was funny. I like when he just can't quite connect the punch.
Yeah, that was a good moment too.
Like, I do at least appreciate that he knows he's going to fuck all these people up, and he knows he's in no danger here whatsoever.
Well, it's just kind of interesting that it's like, if this is Oni, it's a secret facility, and they kind of wanted to kill Master Chief by leaving him on the planet. Like, why don't they just shoot him? like all the people at this base are already like super secret Oni people that are just doing shady shit. Like, what is it to them to just literally shoot them?
Isn't this the age old problem of every like villain arc? They spend too long explaining their evil plan and don't just put a round in his head.
But it's not even that. It's just they're not even explaining their evil plan. They're like trying to make him not even know the plan.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
I don't.
And, like,
It's
the
just
fact that he
it's
just has
just
free
weird.
roam with this place is weird.
I'm interested to see where the show goes because like it honestly feels like the only reason Chief is really here is to reconnect with Cortana and get his armor back. And like I'd almost rather if Chief just didn't even come here to Onyx and like he get his armor and Cortana some other way, because like his whole presence here just seems odd to me. And like I feel like you can still have these moments of Kai talking with Ackerson talking with Parangosky, and you can almost have this whole storyline go on independently of John
Actually,
ransacking the building and all that.
I think if we'd have shuffled a little bit of this plot and Cortana had have come to Chief before they arrived here and told him, Soren's son is here and you need your armor because you need to beat these guys to the Halo. Like, that would have been a better justification for him coming here. And if she had have been, like, talking to him the whole time, being like, you need to get captured by these guys, you can't kill anyone else, And then if she had have been talking to him the whole way through this base, that sort of, like, infiltration thing that they do later, like, the whole way through this, I think that might have worked a bit better for me.
Yeah, something like that. Like Cortana already is able to. I mean, in a few scenes from now, we see Cortana talk with Parangosky, and we learn that like she's basically an undercover agent for them. So like, Cortana can maybe Halsey tries to tap into Cortana from her ship while they're traveling from Reach to somewhere else. So it's like, I don't know. I question the plot threads. I guess like the way the story is structured, I think, is a little muddied in this episode. And maybe it'll make sense after we watch the next episode, Thermopylae, but it's also like, what, is Chief going to just put his... And we'll talk about this in the analysis, but is Chief just going to put on his armor and then just ransack the place? Like, what is he... Like, he needs to fight the Covenant.
No, I think... I think
that,
Chief's going to put his armor on and the Covenant are going to attack, because we know from the end of this that, like, they were able to tell that Cortana sent a transmission and where she sent it. So I think the Arbiter and Kai are going to go there for the artifact, and the Covenant fleet that's following the Arbiter's going to arrive as well. That'll be the plot point.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that on the analysis a little bit more.
I like Cortana. I like this model.
I do. I like Cortana. I'm a little saddened they changed her form just because I liked season 1, but I mean season 2 I think is fine. I just want to see more Cortana, really. I mean, Jen Taylor is always amazing, and it did bring a smile to me to like hear her talk to Chief at the end of the episode, because I'm just like, oh, we're finally getting there to having them two team up again. And that's what we're all kind of impatiently waiting for. So, but this is a great moment that I like. That again, I wish we got sooner. Is where McKee is basically saying that like she can't use the artifact the same way, and that the reason that she's been keeping Chief alive from the Arbiter is because she still feels a connection with him and needs him in order to make connections with the artifact, which we kind of get at the climactic end. And so I just wish that was conveyed earlier, so then we know what she's actually fighting for, instead of her just showing up in the background for 5 episodes, or I guess 4 episodes, and then we start getting a little bit of her story in episode 5. Because then now we're finally getting like why we should care about her in the 6th episode of an 8-episode season.
Yeah. Although I suppose like there's no person for her to be like explaining this plot to, but it's kind of irritating.
Yeah. This also kind of irritated me. Like, they have cameras everywhere. So, like, why? And I think even Ackerson said something where it's like, we're sending Black Team or something to get him. Or.
I think we're sending like a Black Team or something.
But, like, he says something to Kai, because I don't think he talks to John in this episode. But he's like, we sent, Black Ops to go capture him. Maybe they haven't said that yet. But it's like, what do you mean Black Ops? Like, he's a Spartan. You already sent ODSTs to get him, and he turned them to shreds, pretty much. Like, I don't know. Just Chief's presence in this whole episode is aggravating.
If you were going to send someone to get him, like, would you not have sent some of your Spartan 3s?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
send Kai early. I guess the goal was to maybe not involve Kai, so then Kai wouldn't have known that he's back. And I think he sends Kai, or he tells Kai right at the, like, when he does, is like almost like a last effort. So I do get that.
On that scene with Halsey where she talks about the cave having moved and the wall having moved, they missed a golden opportunity for Halsey to go, this cave is not a natural formation.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, they did get that line in the first season as well.
Yeah.
I think...
but you've got to keep doing it.
I think Kai actually says that. When Chief and Kai go in the thing in Madrigal, they're like, this cave is not a natural formation. Yeah, that would have been great for her to kind of sneak in there.
And here we have Kai ready for business.
So this is a great scene. I really like this scene between the two of them. Chief almost like, he's like so tired of people ignoring him that he's just like 100% like, he knows that he's right, and he just like doesn't care anymore who's in his way. And like, I don't know, I get this great composure in this scene from him that I think is a great contrast compared to Kai, who's like trying, like we talked about earlier, she's like projecting a hard ass in front of her, and she's trying to maintain that, but also getting broken down from what Chief is saying and Chief's lack of turning himself in, that it's like kind of destroying her a little bit. And so I think the way this scene is orchestrated is great.
Yeah. Kai's very good in all of this.
Yeah, this might be my favorite scene of the episode, actually. Now that I'm watching it for the third time.
Was did you think the I want to believe line, or the I want to believe you line, was a little reminiscent of old Halo?
In what way? I'm not sure I got that reference.
Hang on. I'll look it up here.
I want to believe. That's like
a different game. Am I thinking of a different
show?
No, I'm thinking of the Believe trailers. Yeah.
Oh, the Believe.
I'm thinking of the Believe trailers. It's stuck in my head.
This is great. He's like, how long have we known each other? A long time. What's that worth? And she puts her helmet on, and it's like, I guess not enough. I'm like, oh, it hurts.
She was very quick to put the helmet on, I feel like, too. It's just like, nope, we're done with him.
I mean, I feel like, from Kai's point of view, I do think that she doesn't believe him. Because, like, she, and even Riz and Vanek earlier in the season, like, had that doubt. Like, on episode 3, Visegrad, after they go investigate Cobalt Team and it wasn't there, like, the three of them were really upset with Chief because he took the initiative to go over there and, like, the Covenant are here, believe me, and, like, they changed the flight plan, all this kind of stuff to make, discredit Chief. And I feel like you get that scene with him and Kai of her really being, like, concerned with him, of like, what are you doing, Chief? Like, you're not you're not thinking right. McKee is dead, like all this, and then you get the manipulation that Ackerson has for Kai, and I think it just continues to really sell this. So that's why I think this is effective, because I think in this moment Kai really does believe he's been manipulated, and it's not until later she finally kind of sees, actually sees the truth. But I just think that's why it makes this scene just so much more powerful, kind of because of the breadcrumbs they've been putting along the way, and kind of how she's been characterized in the beginning part of this episode. And Chief gets some cool blood on his head for the rest of the episode. You gotta love that when your hero's all broken. He just cleaned up all of his blood in the last episode.
Yeah, he magically recovered, and now he's getting his ass
He just can't stay clean.
But I like the idea that, like, you see that she's been holding herself back this entire fight, because she goes to punch him with the killing blow and then stops herself, and you're like, oh yeah, he should have, like, splattered to bits on the first blow if she really wanted to.
Dramatic crescendo.
But, like, she didn't even take... This is the thing I don't get, though. She didn't take him into custody, and they didn't immediately send a team down to capture him. Like, he lies on the floor here until he has his next vision.
Yeah, and then he just wakes up, and then Cortana's here. Yeah, it's all just, like, so odd, the way they strung these scenes together.
The great Oni couldn't have a team outside to go in to get him and, like, cattle prod him and electrocute him.
Just kill him. What is the benefit of keeping them alive from their point of view? Like, they're not going to indoctrinate him any which way. Like,
about the best I could see was if Kai had have walked out and you had have seen, like, creepy mist coming out of the vents, and they, like, turned the screen off and went, like, the gas will take care of him, and then Cortana appears in the next scene and, like, sucks the gas up and goes like, no, we won't. Something. Like, why didn't they do anything to look like they were about to take him out?
now this is cool. So I was actually thinking that we might get Miranda in this scene when she first walked in. I was like, oh, is Miranda here? We gonna see who she is? But we didn't get that. But we get Cortana coming back, and the first time I watched this, I was a bit confused, but I kind of understand. I was able to kind of understand what was going on the more I watched it. That we kind of learn here that they specifically left Cortana on Reach to get intercepted, so then she could be a spy for them on the Covenant ship. But Cortana also does this amazing thing that she always does, where she kind of splits herself. So she's having a conversation with Chief while also having a conversation with Parangoski.
She's so big in all these cutscenes too. It's life-size Cortana. I'm like, there's very few little small Cortana.
Well, it's kind of like Halo 4 Cortana, where she, like, at the end, she projects herself as human form. But she still looks small compared to Chief, which is kind of cute,
Also, if she could get all the way to here, could she not upload herself to here and off the ship? I know she kind of has to be there to help McKee and
I
bring
think
them
she
together, but
can. I feel like she could. Um,
or is she tied
but
to the chip? Also, have you noticed, is it just me, or does the size of that chip that she's on seem to change depending on what scene we see her in? Because I see this chip later in this episode, and it seemed a lot smaller than that big, like, clunky tablet that McKee lifts off the stand in front of Halsey and Soren. Like, I feel like this has changed size a couple of times.
I feel like I noticed a slight size difference, but that was when that priest holds Cortana, which I think happens after this scene.
Yeah.
But I kind of just attributed that to that the Sangheili is holding it as opposed to McKee.
I don't know. Like, it looks much more like the chip that goes in the back of Chief's helmet there, whereas when McKee picks it up, it kind of looks like an Apple TV. Like, that size of a thing.
Yeah, there might be some inconsistencies with like the prop. Either way, like it's not the small little disc that fits in the back of his helmet, or at least not yet.
And Cortana's little drop, we see that Parangoski's probably got a different plan because she's like, you can attack the Covenant fleet now, but I've run all the simulations, and she cuts her off before she can say, you know, your chances of success are minimal. And you get the feeling that Parangoski's got a different plan.
Yeah, I get the
attacking
sense
the Covenant
that
fleet
she,
isn't it?
Yeah, that she doesn't plan on attacking the ships, and even with the simulations of always losing, like they have, it's like some other big plan.
Do you think her plan would be a variation of, oh, what do you call the plan they were going for originally to capture the hierarchs? Do you think the Spartan 3s are going to High Charity as the fleet comes to take out Onyx?
I don't know. What was that? Was that Red Flag?
Red Flag, yeah.
I feel like this mission of them doing the spike is kind of that. I don't know. I don't know. I guess they could. They could always. Also, this is cool. That corridor looks like the artifact, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah,
actually, we'll talk about that on the analysis episode. I want to talk about this because, like Halsey's been here, right or not? Like, I can't tell because, like, Halsey
she has. Yes, I get the feeling she worked
because it's like, okay,
she
well, if
worked
she
in
was
this
here
before?
20 years ago. I don't know. This whole scene just like confuses me, and it's like, okay, they did all this, and then they'll leave it as a cliffhanger, and you'll let you know what happens the next episode. But it's like I don't know. It just put it all in an episode.
No,
like, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I get the feeling she's been here before. Miranda's basically hinting at, we're better at your job than you are, and this is the portal to. Do you think this portal will take them to the Halo, or will this take them to the inside of Onyx?
I think it would. I don't want it to take them to the Halo. I can see them making that change, but it would be kind of too like coincidental that this is the portal that takes them directly to Halo from Onyx. But I also don't really know what exploring the core canon theology of what Onyx is and the Diasphere and all that kind of stuff really gains for the show, at least right now. But I feel like they need to find the Halo by traveling in a ship and going to whatever coordinates that Cortana finds. Now, maybe they find the coordinates through here, much like Halsey did and Cortana did when they were at Sword Base. But I don't know. I kind of don't want them to activate a portal, step through it, and they're like, "Oh wow, we're here. That was cool." Because it's like, well, that was there the whole time. Like, I feel like the whole point of finding this mystical Halo is like it's so unique and unfindable that they, it would be more of a impact for me anyway if they actually had to race to it instead of just activating some portal. So I think this is a moment. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like this bridge set.
Yeah, me too. I wish it was more purple. but maybe because
Yeah.
it's like a simulation.
No, I think like it's the same bridge set that you see them on later, but
Oh, right,
I
right,
hope
right,
this
right.
is I hope this is the Keys Gravemind set, or whoever set. This is the place you go to punch someone in the flood skull.
So this is the scene where Ackerson basically alludes that we need to we need to give them hope and condition them so then when they complete the mission is complete, which is the most important thing, and whatever happens after the mission being complete is irrelevant. Which I think is a very core canon way of thinking for the Spartan 3s that were sent on these vastly like one-sided suicide missions to just try to accomplish the mission and not really care about who survives. Yeah, this is and what's also good is that I do get a sense that Ackerson is trying to make the best of a shitty hand, so to speak. And because he even says this a little bit to Keyes in episode 3, where he's like, they're coming, and there's nothing that we can do, but we can capitalize on this information and try to prepare for what's coming next. And so he kind of reiterates that by saying, like, what happened on Reach is tragic and inevitable. And I believe him when he says that line. Like, it's like we know it was going to happen, but there's nothing that we could do. And and he's just trying to rationalize it, and no one wants to hear it. So,
Yeah, Chief's like going through the labs bit here with Cortana being cool. I like this. I just wish she'd been doing this from the start.
the start of what? Like the start of the episode?
Yeah, like this should have been like the moment where he faced off with Kai should have been like a Cortana give me a minute moment or something. But like I would have liked to have seen him like making his way through the base and bypassing all the security, and that would have been like
I mean, what if we got a moment on Ilaria or like on the ship, and like Halsey was able to? Well, I don't know about that. I don't want to theory craft too much, but I do like the scene. I agree. I like him walking through it all. He sees the artifact. I thought he was going to be looking at his armor. That's what I thought she was leading him at first.
oh no, that's next. That's in the other locker beside this one.
Yeah. So yeah, here's the same set. You're right. Like this is the set that they do the simulation through. They're just reusing it, which I think I did notice, but just kind of forgot. But yeah, I feel like this should be a little bit more purpley, but it's okay. It does look really cool.
This is the big set for next season. Conveniently, all the Covenant will be attacking on the same class vessel.
Unless it all gets destroyed this season.
Nah, all the Covenant will be attacking on this class of vessel forevermore. This is the same reason in the next generation you see an awful lot of the same Enterprise or the same like Galaxy class starship. It's like we have one bridge set.
Imagine this scene like episode 2 or episode 3. Like I think it would just hit so much better.
I do think we needed a bit more. I think we needed this episode 2. Episode 1 you still had to wonder was Chief insane. By episode 2, once we've seen that she was alive, we needed this explanation.
I feel like you have this scene in episode 2, And then in episode 3, she steals the artifact, and you tie that with the Visigrad relay and all that, because that's what Ackerson says to Kai. Like, I'm going to tell you something very secret. It's that when they attacked Visigrad, it was because they were also stealing the artifact from Sword Base. And like, I feel like that sequencing of events would have just hit so much harder, because then after she takes the artifact, then it pairs well with Reach getting attacked, and then when she steals Cortana, you're like, oh my gosh, she's doing all these things, and her and the Arbiter are like unstoppable. They're like defying the hierarchs, and all the, like, you already have this emotional journey for these two characters laid out.
While I'm watching this, do you think this is the start of the setup for like the Covenant Schism? Do you think it could be as simple as, like, that's a lead on lead violence there? Or do you think it could be as simple as we've sided with the Arbiter over the hierarchs?
It could. They could go that route. I think they would need to do something a little bit more with more gravity to kind of really start the Great Schism, because it could just start with the Arbiter and McKee, you know, like that's kind of how rebellions sometimes begin, is you start with one or two people and then you eventually lead up, and a whole rebellion then comes. So it definitely could be, at least the spark, there's that saying, like the spark that like ignited whatever. And so this they could be setting it up that way, but I do feel like more would need to happen for then the gravity of the whole schism to actually unfold, because it's it's the whole social order of the Covenant. So it would. Well, I feel like we definitely need more. You need more brutes, and I feel like honestly, they could just cut to High Charity, and they have the Sangheili talking to the brutes and saying the Arbiter and McKee have gone rogue, and they have a few other followers. We're now going to change out the guard, and now the brutes are going to be the ones that guard us, just like Halo 2. And then from there, you just kind of perpetuate that tension, and it eventually will lead to the Great Schism. So, yeah, I think it could.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't hate this episode, but I'm not blown away.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. I'm just kind of frustrated with it.
It's a solid 6.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I finally get the things that I wanted, but because it just happens so late, I think I'm just being a grumpy man, a grumpy Halo fan yelling at the clouds. I think that's how I feel right now.
That's possible. I don't know. I have thoughts. We can talk about this when we do analysis, but I have a few thoughts. I'm just curious to see where we go with it.
Yeah.
I feel like I see the path.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about... We kind of skipped over the Thermopylae foreshadowing with Soren and Liara. So we'll talk about that on the analysis. And then we could just kind of continue to talk about what's kind of next for these characters and these events, because we basically left on a cliffhanger on every character. We basically only told part of a story from when everyone entered Onyx and all ran to their little ships, or ran from the ship to their little storylines. So this definitely feels like a 2-part episode type of a thing, and we'll kind of see what next week holds. So, but that's our commentary episode. A little more wild, as we were talking about and jumping around from the events that happened on screen. But Aaron, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Halo TV Plus.
No worries, I'm always glad to be here.
Listeners, thank you for joining us as well. Halo the series premieres exclusively on Paramount Plus every Thursday. If you're interested, Paramount Plus also produces a Halo after-show segment called Halo the Series Declassified that releases alongside each TV episode. This week for Onyx, Sydney interviews Kate Kennedy and Christina Rodlow, who plays Kai and Perez, respectively. And there's also a featurette about the Spartan 3 armor. They kind of talk about designing it and translating it from core canon to on screen, as well as a nice little sneak peek to the next episode. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can find every episode to all of the shows that Evolved produces on our website, evolvedhalo.co or halopodcast.com. Don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for their continued support for Evolved and making all of our shows possible. Head over to patreon.com/haloevolved to learn more. If you like this show, rate us and leave us a review. I greatly appreciate all the feedback we receive from our listeners to improve the quality of the show. And also, you can leave us an email at podcastevolved@gmail.com or a voicemail in our Google phone number, 205-EVOLVED. That's 205-386-5833. And with that, I've been your host, Oran, and until next time, evolve.